What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So today I am super excited to bring you this video because this is a video I have been waiting to make for a very long time, and that is the reveal and debut of the fairy tale monsters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Now, we've already known that these have existed because if you watch the first seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! These are from the Grand Championship series, which is one of my favorites, and once I saw these cards, I just thought it would be so cool to have them, so I want to go over these cards and their TCG effects, and I also want to talk about any competitive viability that these cards might have. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge shout out to my newest patrons as always. So big shout outs today to James, to Kevin, to Kenneth, as well as Hasty Moose. You guys are the reason that this channel is growing strong. If you guys want to help support me in the channel through Patreon, then check out the Patreon link in the description below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Oh man, so if you guys don't know, basically the entire fairy tale archetype, and we're not talking about fairy tale snow, we're talking about fairy tale, T-A-L-E. Basically, they centralize around a single field spell, Golden Castle of Stromberg. Now, anyone who watched the anime knows how terrifying this card was, and honestly, you know, its new version that's going to be TCG and OCG legal isn't going to be nearly as powerful, but I definitely think there's some potential there, and that's what I want to discuss. So I'm going to start by talking about the Golden Castle, because it's going to give a lot of context to some of these other effects, and then we're going to do each of the other cards one by one. So, starting off with the Golden Castle of Stromberg, it is a field spell, which is very important, and once per turn during your standby phase, you must banish the top 10 cards of your deck face down. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. Now, in the anime, your opponent was the one banishing like half their deck, so I guess it's a little bit more balanced that you're the one paying the maintenance cost on this card. What I really like, though, is that you don't have to pay this maintenance cost on activation. It's only on your next standby phase. So if you actually have a way to utilize this card and then maybe get rid of it before your next turn, then you're not going to have to pay the maintenance cost of banishing 10 cards face down. Although I guess Grand Maju to Aiza decks might actually really enjoy that. So that's the thing, there is a very steep cost, but there might actually be some worth and value as to why you might want to play this. So, during your main phase, you can only use this card's name one effect once per turn. You can special summon from your deck one monster that specifically lists the card Golden Castle of Stromberg in its text. You cannot normal summon or set during the turn you activate this effect. Now, anytime a card says special summon from your deck, red flags should be going off everywhere because some of the most powerful cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just allow you to special summon monsters from the deck. Tour Guide from the Otherworld, Spiral Double Helix, I could just keep going on, but the thing is, even though there's a steep cost here and you also can't normal summon, you know, it's 2018. You really don't have to normal summon during your turn, although sometimes it's very important to have your normal summon. You could probably circumvent that, and there's ways to play without using your normal summon. But to basically tutor any card in your deck, that might actually be worth it, and you'll see why a little bit later. The second effect of the castle is when an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy that attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half its attack. So what's really cool about this is that your opponent basically can't attack you with anything, which basically makes you completely impermeable in battle. And what I really like about this is that it basically means that in simplified game states, if your opponent can't out this card, they're not going to be able to attack you directly either. Remember, just as when your opponent's monster declares an attack, they don't have to be attacking a monster, it just says attack period. So this card could actually save your ass in some instances, and that's what I think is really cool about it. So we're going to be moving on to some of the cards now that you can special summon off this castle to see if it's really worth all the hype. Starting off with Cinderella. So, Cinderella is a level 4 light fairy effect monster, 300 attack, 600 defense. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon one pumpkin carriage from your hand or deck. Then you can equip one glass slippers from your deck to this card if Golden Castle of Stromberg is on the field. Now, one thing you're going to notice is that a lot of these cards have an effect, but then they also have another effect if Golden Castle is on the field, which makes them like 50 times better if it is. So I like that it doesn't really have massive drawbacks if you don't have the castle, but really the cards just get better if you do. Now, The second effect is when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, you can target 1 Glass Slippers equipped to this card and 1 face-up monster on the field, equip that Glass Slippers to that second target. So what are Pumpkin Carriage and what are Glass Slippers? So Pumpkin Carriage is a level 3 Earth Plant effect monster, 0 attack, 300 defense. First effect reads each Cinderella you control can attack directly. Okay, that makes sense tying in with the second effect, but the second effect reads each Golden Castle of Stromberg you control cannot be destroyed by card effects and cannot be targeted by opponents' card effects. So basically, the thing I don't like about this is that in the anime, the castle had this protection built in itself. You didn't have to have the Pumpkin Carriage on the field, and I kind of wish it was like the Seal of Orichalcos, where it just had like once per turn it wasn't able to be destroyed. For the huge maintenance cost you have to pay for this card, I think that might be worth it, but that might be a little bit too broken, so I guess that's why they decided to allocate the effect to this card, but it basically helps you synergize with your Cinderella. Then moving on to the Glass Slippers. Glass Slippers is an equipped spell card. While this is equipped to a monster type which is fairy, Cinderella is a fairy, it gains 1000 attack. While the equipped monster type is not fairy, it cannot attack and it loses 1000 attack. Second effect, which can only be used once per turn, if this card is sent to the graveyard because the monster it was equipped to was destroyed, you can target 1 Cinderella you control, equip this card to that target. So basically you have the way to equip the Glass Slippers to your opponent's monsters so that they cannot attack and that they also lose 1000 attack at the same time. But the interesting thing is here is that Golden Castle of Stromberg special summons out Cinderella. Cinderella then special summons out Pumpkin Carriage. That's a +2 in terms of card advantage from one single field spell. And what's cool about this is, while Cinderella and Pumpkin Carriage might not be, very appealing on their own, this means you can go into a 1-card Alistair the Invoker Link monster, which is actually incredibly strong because doing that all off of 1 card is really good. And you don't need your normal summon because then, if you have Invocation, you can just summon out a Makaba because Cinderella happens to be a light, so you can banish Cinderella and the Alistair, bring out the Makaba. That seems alright. Now, is someone gonna make an Invoked Fairy Tale deck? I don't fucking know. I sure hope not, but I mean, I guess there's some potential there just because of the sheer card advantage that Golden Castle is able to generate. But I think these next cards are where Golden Castle can really shine. So starting off with Iron Hans. Iron Hans is a level 4 Earth Warrior, 1200 attack, 800 defense. You can only use the first effect once per turn, which is, if this card is summoned, you can activate this effect, special summon 1 Iron Knight from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn unless Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone when this resolves. And then just so you guys know for context, Iron Knight is a level 4 Earth Warrior effect monster with 1700 attack, 700 defense. You can only use its second effect once per turn. Its first effect is while you control Iron Hans, it loses 1000 attack down to 700. Second effect, which is again once per turn, if this card is on the field, is either sent to the graveyard by a card effect or destroyed by battle, you can add 1 Iron Hans from your deck to your hand, or if Golden Castle of Stromberg is on the field, you can add 1 warrior monster from your deck to your hand instead. So the crazy thing here is that very similarly to Cinderella and Pumpkin Carriage, activate Golden Castle special Iron Hans, activate Iron Hans special Iron Knight. You now have 2 level 4 warrior monsters on your field just for using a single card and relinquishing your normal summon. Now, what can you do with this? Well, you now have access to any generic rank 4 in the game, like Baguska, like Tornado Dragon. They're warriors, so you can make Blade Armor Ninja. I don't know why you'd have to make Blade Armor Ninja, but the option is there. But because they're warrior monsters, that also means you can link them into Isolde to Tales of the Noble Knights. Then Isolde is going to trigger, which is going to add another warrior monster to your hand. I mean, the potential is just insane here, and if there's any competitive viability from this archetype, I think it rests with these 3 cards, because having a 1-card rank 4 or link 2 engine, I think is just insane, and at the cost of relinquishing your normal summon, I don't think Goki's really gonna care if it has to relinquish its normal summon just to immediately get an Isolde onto the field. And then you have Isolde's other effect. Isolde is also a warrior. These guys are warriors. There's a lot of synergy here, and I think there's a lot of potential. if anyone's going to try to mess around and make these cards competitively viable, this is the way they're going to go about doing it, and they're going to find a way similar to this to end up breaking this card. You've already got Terraforming, so that means you have 6 copies of this card, and you're going to have even more once we get to our next card, which is Gliffy or Glyph the Phantom Bird, level 4 Wind Winged Beast, 1500 attack, 1500 defense. You can discard this card, add 1 Golden Castle of Stromberg from your deck to your hand, which puts us up to 9 copies of Golden Castle, 3 of this, 3 Terraforming, and 3 Castle. If this card is normal or special summoned once per turn, you can target 1 card in your opponent's spell or trap zone and destroy it. So it's spot removal for spell and traps, and you can special summon it off of Golden Castle, so seems pretty alright. You're probably just going to be using it to dig for the Gold Castle, but still, really good overall. Now this brings us on to Hex Trude. Now, Hex Trude is a level 8 Dark Spellcaster, 2600 attack, 2100 defense. While Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone, this card can be normal summoned without tributing. Now, you can't get the special summon effect if you do this, however, you can also special summon this card off of the Golden Castle, so it's kind of a two-way street and basically kind of helps mitigate the fact that it's a level 8 monster. Now, once per turn, if Golden Castle is in the field zone, you can target 1 card on the field, destroy it, and if you do, this card can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. In addition, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can target 1 face-up monster you control. That monster gains 400 attack, and that also includes itself. So this card in a way is kind of like a mini Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, but not nearly as good. I mean, think about it. You can just normal summon this or special summon it with Castle. You get to pop a card on the field, and it doesn't have to be your opponent's. You could pop your own for synergy there, and then it can attack 2 of your opponent's monsters. Considering it's 2600, it's probably gonna get through. Then it's gonna pump itself up to 3000 for the next attack. Honestly, that's really cool card all around, and I think it's a really nice addition to the archetype. Now, wrapping it up, we have a continuous spell card, Iron Cage. You can only activate this card once per turn. When this card resolves, send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, or if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone, you can send 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard instead. Now, in the anime, they used this card in tandem with Iron Hans, sent it to the graveyard, then resurrected it so we could special summon another Iron Knight. That's pretty neat, but if you have Golden Castle, the fact that you have more removal for your opponent's cards is just nuts. Now, the second effect is, once per turn during your standby phase, you can target 1 monster in either graveyard that was sent there by this card's first effect, destroy this card, and if you do, special summon that target. So that's kind of how it all works. You basically get to destroy something, but then you can also revive it if you so choose as well. And obviously it doesn't have to work with all these cards. You can use it with any other monster in the game. So the fact you have basically more spot removal, but also can be a combo piece as well, I think that's a really neat and well-designed card. So, guys, that's gonna wrap up the Fairy Tail cards. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and are as excited as I am. I think there is so much potential here that, you know, maybe these cards are gonna be good. Like I said, I think if anything, Golden Castle, Iron Hans, and Iron Knight are kind of gonna be the way to go. In terms of a competitive Fairy Tail deck, you know, it's not too likely. I'd be really surprised if something came up, but I really want to see what people come up with the Gold Castle and the 2 Iron monsters, but we'll just have to wait and see. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you found this video informative, consider backing me on Patreon, because just by pledging only $1 a month, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.